Something good to know from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have all of today's innovative banking products just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't. A personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. It's fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Sea Isle City. A community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, from the people who truly care. Learn more at firstbankseaisle.com.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
South Jersey's official play-by-play home of the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers.
At 0 point would I ever consider not being a fan of the team.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hinnick.
It's good!
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
And he scored!
Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Josh Hinnick.
Oh, what could have been? It's the story of Philadelphia sports for the last, 30, 40 years? I'll tell you why I say that here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hinnick hanging out with you in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios. Phillies, no Bryce Harper tonight. Why? Might be concerning. We'll get on that. Plus, there was something that happened in the NBA Finals last night that made you say what could have been, what should have been for Philadelphia. Plus, some updates from the ShopRite LPGA Classic. All that and more coming up here on 97.3 ESPN. As always, you guys can join the conversation at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. And, of course, we are live, as always, on my YouTube channel at Josh Hinnick. So, let's get into it. Because for those who didn't hear the news earlier, and you might just be flipping on the radio or tuning in now, Bryce Harper not playing tonight. And this is significant for a couple of reasons. One, because it feels like the worst time to not have your best players when you've lost 6 of the last 7 games and 7 of the last 10. So it feels like a really bad time for Bryce Harper to be unavailable. But to me, it's not that Bryce Harper isn't playing tonight that is the concern. It's the why Bryce Harper is not playing tonight. That is my greatest concern. So the reporting is coming out that Bryce Harper is dealing with a hand issue. And apparently he's been dealing for some time now with this wrist injury. Or this wrist issue. Sorry, not injury, issue. Don't want to paint the wrong picture out there. But the reason why this is concerning is because last summer, Bryce Harper also missed time and was dealing with a lingering wrist injury. And frankly, I'm really concerned. Because if Harper has a wrist issue, and remember, this is a guy, he's had elbow surgeries, he's had wrist injuries, he's had all kinds of impediments with his body. You know, when he got hit with the ball above his elbow, remember, he did get hit in the elbow, he got hit in the tricep region, which is the muscle right above it. Well, there's a group of nerves in that tricep that connect directly down your elbow to your hand. And I can tell you, as someone who has earned 4 certifications in the health and fitness world, that it is always a concern when someone has an injury in their tricep region because the pain can actually trickle down to your hand. So I'm wondering, is this issue with Harper's wrist connected to the tricep issue? Or is this similar to what we dealt with last year? And either way, is this going to be a black cloud that hangs over the team's head the rest of the year? Rob Thompson told the media, he's been dealing with this for a while. Harper said last year, I've been dealing with a wrist injury for a while. I just want to talk about it. Look, I applaud the guy for playing through injury. I applaud him for being a stand-up guy. But Bryce Harper right now, statistically, is having his worst season since his final year when he was with the Washington Nationals. That year he hit .249. He led the National League in walks, which is great, but he also had 169 strikeouts. This year, he's slightly better batting average, .258. And look, it's great that he's on pace for about 90-some RBI this year. It kind of feels like Bryce Harper is just not right at all on a lot of levels. And every time he seems to get hot, there's something that comes up, whether it's an injury or something. I'm not trying to project anything. I'm just asking the question, do we just take this news with a grain of salt, or do we move forward and just say everything's going to be all right, Harper's going to be good? Or do we start asking the proverbial question about what is Harper the rest of this year? Because Bryce Harper, during his Phillies career, all but the COVID year, okay, take that year, throw the stats out the window. Every year in his Phillies career, he has been good to great when it comes to wins above replacement. For those who don't know, wins above replacement is the metric where it says you are worth this many more wins than the average player. And if you go by Baseball Reference, Bryce Harper has basically been on average for his Phillies career, again, taking out the COVID year, he has been on average worth about 4 wins a year. That's significant. That means that there is at least 4 games a year that Harper is the reason why you won. At least. And it's probably more than that because of the fact that, if we're being blunt about this, Harper's value in the lineup has basically been almost invaluable at times over the years. And if you take away his MVP season, Harper, during his Phillies career, has 3 other seasons where he is worth almost 4 wins in those seasons alone. 6 in his MVP year. Now you're taking him out of the lineup. A lineup that, when you look at it today, feels pretty weak. Feels pretty lifeless. I don't know about you guys, but I'll read you the lineup and you tell me how you feel about this lineup. Because I know for me, I don't even know if you're even watching the game tonight. Of course, I'm going to watch the game, but still. Turner, Schwarber, Bohm, Castellanos, Realmuto, Sosa at third base, Bohm at first. Keep that in mind. Bryson Stott is going to play second. Weston Wilson in left. Johan Rojas in right. The Phillies have made the choice to play Stott against left-handed pitcher Bailey Falter. They have decided to sit Max Kepler and Brandon Marsh against the left-handed pitcher. No one is excited about this lineup. And I think the problem with the Phillies right now is we're not even in the dog days of summer, and now you're already having people ask the question, should I be watching the game tonight? That is a massive, massive issue. You're a baseball team that is contending for the National League East. You're a baseball team that has one of the highest payrolls in all of baseball. But you're also a baseball team who has lost 7 of your last 10 games. And frankly, after being shellacked by the Blue Jays yesterday afternoon, You can't tell me you're going into this Pirates series with any good vibes. I think the Phillies organization has really let the fan base down. I've complained about Dave Dombrowski before, and I will continue to do so here on 97.3 ESPN. I don't care what he did with the Marlins, the Tigers, or the Red Sox. And while I appreciate the fact that he was part of building a team that got to the World Series in 2022 and was a thrilling run for the Phils, the regression of this roster since 2022 is frankly unacceptable. You have gotten to a point where you are now the organization, the Phillies, that is in the conversation for worst roster construction in the city. It's a unenviable debate between them and the 76ers. And if I'm Philadelphia, I need to ask the question how serious I am about winning a championship. Because if I'm serious about winning a championship, and Bryce Harper has to miss any significant time again, I've already seen that the Turner, Schwarber, Bohm, Castellanos, Realmuto, Bryson Stott contingent are not good enough to win a ton of games night in and night out. And listen, Joe Ross is only starting because Zach Wheeler is still on paternity leave, okay? I'm not reading too much into that. I'm concerned about the lineup. I'm concerned about a baseball team that in this run of 10 games, okay? This is what the Phillies have scored in the last 10 games. They've lost 7 of 10. They scored a total of 2 runs over the last 2 games in Toronto. Then they scored 8 on Tuesday. We got all excited. Remember Tuesday? Harper hits a home run. Turner hits home runs. We're like, we're back, baby. Well, apparently you're not. Before Tuesday, your run output was 2-7, 2-3. And that 7 runs was a 17-7 shellacking by Milwaukee that looks closer than it really was on the final score. And by the way, the last time you had a winning streak, one of the games you won 2-0. I keep coming back to the offense. This is an organization that has invested a lot of money into this lineup. This is an organization that has invested a lot of money into these guys. Nick Castellanos, JT Realmuto, they're not really earning their paycheck anymore. And for a team that has legitimate talent, okay, there's no questioning the talent on this team. But for them to be performing the way they are, I think they need to start making some tough decisions. Now, I'm not saying I want to trade on June 6th or I want to trade in the next 2 weeks. But what I'm saying is that I hope the Phillies organization is having the kind of conversations that we are here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle, live on my YouTube channel at Josh Hennig. I listened to Mike Gill and Nick Earnshaw talk about it during the 4 hours on the Sports Bash today. Mike Gill and I talked about it during the week here on 97.3 ESPN. And I'm sure Billy Schweim's going to talk about it this weekend in the locker room. At what point do you stop worrying about the future and worry about the present? The organization has gone out of their way to protect their prospects and their draft assets and rebuild their minor league organization. Well, you rebuilt it. What are you going to do with it? Because I promise you, the law of averages says that not every single one of those players in the minor leagues is going to be anywhere as good as you think they are. Which is why I say if the Phillies are serious about winning a championship, they're going to trade somebody. Now, I don't think it's Painter. I don't think it's Aiden Miller. And I'm 50-50 on Crawford. But everybody else, I think there's a strong conversation to be had. Because when you look at the Phillies prospects, okay? And again, not the Phillies organization, but I'm just telling you what MLB.com says, okay? Independent viewer. The next guy who is not among the three that I'm saying are most likely to not be touched, Eduardo Tate is an 18 turning 19-year-old catcher. He's a far way away from the major league level. You're trading him? You got a young outfielder at single A named Dante Nori. He's the Phillies' 6th overall prospect. Are you trading a young outfielder? Mick Abel has looked good in 2 starts at the major league level. Are you trading him? Gabriel Rincones is the name I feel like has been thrown around in every rumor mill online. Whether those rumors are legitimate or not, I feel like his name is everywhere online. Do you consider trading him? Arun Escobar was one of the top prospects in this organization coming into the year. He was one of the April players of the month. 20-year-old middle infielder. No real pathway for him to the major leagues right now. And you get really risky and package any one of those players with a guy on the current roster like Bryson Stott. Does a team look at you and say, look, I'll take the young guy. Here's my old player. Jeff from Ocean City chimes in at 609-403-0973. He says, hey, Josh, should the Phillies make a move now or wait? I'm more on the positive side and think we should wait it out. Yeah, Jeff, I don't think they should make a trade like right now. It's kind of like the old George Lopez joke. Those who are old enough to remember the stand-up. You know, right now I'm busy, but later right now I might not be so busy. You know, I think the Phillies right now, they're saying, yeah, I'm good. I'm not trying to act like I'm desperate. But later right now, maybe 6-7 weeks from now, when we get closer to the deadline, then you're probably making multiple moves if you're the Phillies. Jeff in Ocean City. George Summers Point chimes in at 609-403-0973. Says, hey, Josh, I think you hit the nail on the head with your observation of the Phillies. They don't seem to be concerned about winning. I think it goes back to the ownership of the Phillies and the Sixers, for that matter, that they are content that they have spent money on a few players and are selling a lot of tickets because they are just good enough to win, but not to get a championship, which leaves fans wanting more. That's from George in Summers Point. I don't think I will say I agree with your overall perspective, George, but I would say that part of your sentiment is not fully accurate for one reason. Because I think that the organization of the Phillies is owned by somebody who wants to win a lot. He's a local guy, John Middleton. He's passionate about winning. He has said it himself that he thinks his legacy will be tied to him helping this organization win a second championship. I think he does want to win. I don't think he is content. I think Josh Harris is. I think it's a very fair assessment of Harris. I think Harris is more in the business of sports, less than he is in the business to win in sports. I think Middleton wants to win, George, in Summers Point. Now, I do agree. They have spent a bunch of money on a few players. The Phillies are selling more tickets now than they did before. But I do think the Phillies owner wants to win. I think the problem is that the Phillies are having the Phillies are having to make a strong push right now to figure out, does this organization really want to win? Or are they just interested in being the kind of organization that keeps planning for the future and rolling your dice with what you don't know? Or do you make a trade for something that you do know? Again, not an easy decision. But if you were asking me, I am looking at their prospects. And I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys who we know that other teams would have interest in. All of them, I would say, you know what? If I got to trade that guy, I'm trading him, and I'm not even thinking twice about it. Because if it makes a team, if it puts the Phillies in a position to win a World Series, no questions asked. All right, so to come more, your text 609-403-0973. Stephen Ventnor chimes in. Also, we're going to get to what I saw last night in the NBA Finals that makes you think, what if? Plus, the ShopRite LPGA Classic first round is wrapping up right now, and it was a wild first round. I'm going to give you some of my thoughts on the first round because we talked with Joanna Coe yesterday. How did she do in the first round? It really did seem that there was a mixed bag of results for the ladies in the first round, the ShopRite LPGA Classic this weekend at Seaview Golf Club in Galloway. All that and more still to come. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Get ready for the ultimate thrill when Atlantic City hosts War at the Shore, sponsored by North Beach AC, Sunday, June 8th. Witness the adrenaline-pumping, high-powered boats race through the Atlantic Ocean from any of the North Beach locations. Feel the roar of the engines, the splash of the waves, and the excitement in the air. Sunday, June 8th for War at the Shore, sponsored by North Beach AC. For more information, visit AtlanticCityNorthBeach.com.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, you know, to check you have your phone first, before the cab pulls away.
Hey, thanks, man. Oh, no, wait, my phone! Come back! It's my boarding pass, credit cards, phone numbers, my life! Come back!
Checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Now at Verizon, we have some big news for your peace of mind. For all our customers, existing and new, we're locking in low prices for 3 years guaranteed on My Plan and My Home. That's future you peace of mind. And everyone can save on a brand new phone on My Plan when you trade in any phone from one of our top brands. That's new phone peace of mind. Because at Verizon, whether you're already a customer or you're just joining us, we got you. Visit Verizon today. Price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or on third-party delivery platforms.
At Progressive, we understand the bond you have with your boat. It's why people name theirs.
I was pretty hungry and looking at a menu when I named my boat Change Your Tuna. The backup names were Trick or Trout, I Salmonly Swear, and, oh, it gets worse, New Squid on the Block. It wasn't my best day.
Whatever you call your boat, protect it. And start with a quote from Progressive, America's #1 boat insurer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. #1 rating based on boat market share data from ratefilings.com.
The power of Dell AI with Intel Inside is transforming the world of pro sports. Teams can see curveballs coming with predictive analytics. Coaches can use AI insights to help players improve their shots in real time. And fans can get more out of every winning moment with AI-enhanced replays.
Unbelievable! What a play!
See how Dell Technologies with Intel Inside can power your wins at Dell.com/win.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN. Phillies continuing their road trip tonight. They're in Pittsburgh at PNC Park to start a 3-game weekend series with the Pirates. Philadelphia has lost 6 of 7. They lose to Toronto on Thursday 9-1. Joe Ross, the scheduled starter tonight. He's 2-1. Bailey Falter will go for Pittsburgh. He's 4-3. NBA Finals continuing Sunday night as the Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder play game number 2. Coverage right here on 97.3 ESPN beginning at 7. Indiana taking game 1 Thursday night, 111-110. They rallied from a 15-point fourth quarter deficit. Tyrese Halliburton with a jumper at the buzzer to win it for Indiana. The Philadelphia Eagles have a mandatory minicamp next week, just one day. That'll be on Tuesday. That'll be their final workout before training camp in late July. Progressive Insurance, bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/score. That's ethos.com/score.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, welcome to the first full weekend of June. We have some rain to talk about, of course. Here's how things are going to play out. Fog is possible tonight with mostly cloudy skies, low 67. Tomorrow morning through midday, a wave of showers and thunderstorms likely. Could be some stronger storm cells and localized downpours out there. Will trend drier in the afternoon, but still a spot shower possible, high 79. Still some clouds and showers around Sunday, high 76. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Anyone can struggle with addiction. And when you're struggling, there's no shame in getting help.
Call 844-REACH-NJ. Talk to a counselor for confidential addiction help and see if you're eligible for no-cost treatment. 844-REACH-NJ from New Jersey Human Services.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Well, I got some good news and some bad news. The bad news is the Phillies game is technically in rain delay. The good news is the Phillies game will be starting soon. I was just watching during the break their update on TV, and apparently they are currently draining the water off of the tarp that was covering the field before they pull the tarp off the field. So it sounds like that while the game will not start at 6:30, it's not going to be a long rain delay. It might be like 30 minutes to an hour probably at the most. I don't know exactly how long it's going to take for them to curate the infield. But I'm going to assume that this is probably going to be a 7:30 start time for this game instead of 6:30. So there you go. All right, let's get a couple more texts here. 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Stephen Ventnor chimes in. He says, if I were the Phillies, I would try to trade some of the older prospects like Kemp, Rincones, etc. If you could maybe put a group together of like Abel, Rincones, and Kemp, it should get you something. So a couple things there, Steve. One, it depends on who and what you're trading for. And I think that's the problem with all this. I always go back to, I think there's the hold, timeout, rewind. The Phillies organization has told us that they offered a lot of guys to teams last year. And those teams were just not interested in what they were offering. And John Middleton told the Philly Show podcast a couple months ago, he said, look, we offered a lot of guys up and teams didn't want them, so we became indifferent. That was John Middleton's words, not mine. We know in the history of sports that not every team values players the same way. Okay? Look at what we saw last night. Tyrese Halliburton, another game winner last night in the NBA Finals. Well, the Sacramento Kings didn't want him. They preferred Domantas Sabonis. You heard NBA insider Scoop B. Robinson last night. He told us here on 97.3 ESPN multiple times, he has said, by the way, that the Kings would have traded Halliburton for a package that would have included Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris. Sixer fans everywhere are groaning over the idea that you could have had Tyrese Halliburton. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. For as much as Sixer fans hated Ben Simmons, there were teams that would have traded for him. Sacramento Kings, Brooklyn Nets, San Antonio Spurs, and others would have traded for Ben Simmons if the Sixers didn't wait until the asset had completely depreciated almost nothing. So for me, I don't look at the Phillies prospects as an automatic for anything, because the Phillies have tried to trade some of those guys, Steve. I think the problem with the Phillies is there's two kinds of teams out there. Typically, the teams that want the older prospects are the bad teams. Your Rockies, your White Sox. I guess the Marlins are entering that territory. I haven't even looked at what the MLB standings are for the bottom of the league recently. I mean, aside from the Rockies, the Athletics, and the White Sox, who else is horrible this year? Let's see here. Give me one sec. So in the American League, see, I'm not counting the Orioles, because I think the Orioles are in a weird situation because they've won 8 of the last 10. I think that's an organization that doesn't want to trade almost anyone. And they're also cheap, so I don't think they're really that much in a conversation right now. I think they're trying to figure out if they can get back to 500. But the Athletics and the White Sox are two teams that if you traded them, said, look, I'm willing to have a conversation about Mick Abel, and then you included Rincones, just to use him as an example, I think that is how you start a conversation to get a guy like Mason Miller, just to use him as an example. In the National League, the Rockies are the one team that everyone keeps looking at saying, man, that team is really bad. We might be able to scalp them for something. The problem is they're so bad, they don't really have a lot of guys of value on that team. And I don't know about you guys, but I am not trading a high-level asset like Mick Abel. A guy who, frankly, is... Mick Abel is your A+ trade asset. I'm not trading him for a guy like Jake Bird, who's 29, turning 30 years old, who's a very good bullpen pitcher, but no one's excited about Jake Bird. Okay, let's just put it out there. All right? The guy's having the best year of his career. I'm not excited about Jake Bird. I'm just not. I'm not trading Mick Abel for a guy who has one save his entire career. So to me, I think there's tiers to this. If you went to a team like the Rockies and said, I'm willing to give up a couple of players who you can use right here, right now, for a relief pitcher, I'm willing to have that conversation. But I'm only trading Abel if I'm getting someone of Mason Miller's caliber. And I know Mason Miller's having a down year, but it's the caliber of player that I'm at least referring to. Now, when it comes to the prospects, Steven Ventnor, and, Steve, I totally understand that you have a gazillion combinations here. I totally get it. But to me, I think the only bullpen pitchers who are legitimately available, I think there's three. Or at least three that I'm interested in. I think that's probably the better way of saying it. Mason Miller obviously is one. Chapman fascinates me because I don't think he's necessarily any worse than Alvarado is. I think that Chapman is kind of the same guy. It's just an older version of Alvarado, and you only have him for a year, and you can get him for a worthwhile trade. I think that's worth having the conversation about. I would have said Pete Fairbanks before the recent run by the Rays, but the Rays are now back in the wild card conversation after winning 7 of their last 10. The Orioles and the Rays are suddenly kind of like in limbo, and so are the Blue Jays, because all three of them have been winning games lately. So, to me, I need to see which one of those teams maintains for the rest of this month and which one falls apart. The Pirates, the team you're facing this weekend, they have to be part of this conversation of, are they a team that you could maybe make a deal with? But don't tell me it's Bedard. I have as much interest in Bedard as I have of Jake Bird at this point. No, I just don't care. The guy on the Pirates that does intrigue me a little bit is Dennis Santana. Because Santana is that age where he's no longer an up-and-coming guy for organization. He just turned 29. But he's also a guy who his stats suggest that he's basically in his prime right now. And you don't want to miss out on that window. He is somebody who now for 3 straight years in the Pirates organization has pitched well overall. Not great, but well. And he's the kind of guy that when you look at a young player like Aaron Escobar, a guy who is blocked in multiple ways at getting to the major leagues right now in the Phillies minor league system, and you call the Pirates, look, I got this young prospect. And I'm going to pair him with somebody else, and you give me Santana, who's arguably your best pitcher in the bullpen, I think it's worth having a conversation. But he's not one of the best pitchers I can get. But he's someone worth having a conversation about. The other team in the minor leagues, I would say, another team with a bad team that I would have a conversation about is the Marlins. The Marlins just got whacked around by the Rockies of all teams. The Marlins might be ripe for the picking. Now, the problem with the Marlins is twofold. One, you don't want to trade a good player in your own division. You don't want to trade a guy who can come back to haunt you later. That's why the Phillies are probably not going to acquire a guy like Kyle Finnegan, because you don't want to give up something significant and then 3 years from now see that guy, and now we see him 4 times a year. And then, of course, it's going to be Scott Rowland all over again. Why did we get rid of him? So the Marlins, you got to be careful about. You got to be careful. But there is one pitcher on the Marlins that you can have a conversation about. Again, these are not me saying what the Phillies sure shouldn't do. I'm saying these are conversations. Okay? And to me, the guy who's worth having a conversation, again, I'm being very specific. And Nick Earnshaw walked in the studio. He's looking at me very intently over here because I think he's curious to see what I have to say over there. But I think that if you want to have a conversation, because that's the word I'm going to keep using, okay, Nick? I turned your mic on. So
How are you, Josh? I'm back.
I see that.
I'm pulling double duty today.
Well, you're everywhere. Nick Nuggets is everywhere. He's traveling and delivering. It's not delivery, it's nuggets.
Yes.
The one guy that I'm at least having a conversation about on Miami is Roddy Enriquez. Because, again, he's in his mid-20s. He has controllable years. And if I'm going to trade someone, an Aaron Escobar, someone who's blocked 3 ways from Sunday to the major leagues, that's what I go for. Because, again, when you trade these prospects, and Nick, who is the host of the Shift podcast, is a conversation that you and Francisco argue about all the time.
Yes.
Okay? Is that not every team wants your prospects as much as you want your prospect. So you have to figure out, who am I willing to give up? That's one. And number two, who am I willing to give up that is within reason for me and my end goals?
Right. And I think we talked about it on the Bash today from the LPGA, Josh. It's like there's not really an untouchable prospect that at any organization. Painter, I would highly suggest probably not to trade him. He's your prize. You don't want to move on from him, right? So after him, though, I mean, it's kind of open game. The Mick Abel thing's very interesting because he's made 2 starts. He's had a bounce-back year. The walks have come down a little bit, right? He's one of your top guys. He was a top pick, right? So I think for the Phillies, if you think you could go win a World Series, which it should be, this year, then you have to probably part with some of those guys, like a Mick Abel, a Crawford, or maybe even Aiden Miller. I don't love to do it.
Miller.
I don't love it.
I'm not doing Miller.
But you can get a lot for him.
But so Keith Law was on with Mike Gill last week on the Sports Bash. He made this comment, and I think this is actually for the people who are worried about the future, okay? I think this is part of the reason why the Phillies are going to keep Aiden Miller, and also
I agree.
Why he's at AA. Take a listen.
Scott should probably be the shortstop at this point. They're not going to do that. But maybe Miller is the guy who comes along and allows them to slide Turner to another position where I think Miller's going to be a better defender. And I think he's really going to hit, and he's probably going to surprise people with there's more power than you think, there's more speed than you think. I think he's going to be an all-star for a long time. And his rise through their system has been really impressive and really fun to watch.
He can be to Trey Turner what Jeremy Pena has become to Jose Altuve.
Yeah.
You can bring in a guy and you tell Turner, look, this dude is the stud of studs. You're not telling Trey Turner move positions because of Bryson Stott. You're not telling him to move positions because of Edmundo Sosa. You're telling him this dude is you and maybe better than you.
Yeah.
That's why. So to me, I'm not trading the guy who can bump Turner off of shortstop.
Listen, I think it's a very fair point. You know how I feel about Trey Turner playing shortstop. I can't take it anymore. He's been so bad at shortstop. I can't watch him cost games anymore. That can't happen. I just don't know if Miller's ready to come up just yet.
I don't care. I don't care.
I know for the future, I understand that. But Dombrowski has shown in the past, not with the Phillies, that he is willing to move prospects to go get a guy right now. That's why I brought up Bo Bichette this past week as maybe an option to trade for at some point. You just saw him. He was great this week.
And listen, if you're telling me that the package to get Bo Bichette, just to use him as an example.
And he's been better defensively, by the way.
Okay? If you're telling me the package to get Bo Bichette is... And I'm just using this as an example. I'm not saying this is it. If you're telling me the package is Mick Abel, Eduardo Tait, and Bryson Stott, I'm making that trade 100 times out of 100.
1,000% making that trade.
Because what you're doing is you're trading one guy in Mick Abel that there's no guarantees part of your rotation next year. Tait, who is, 3-4 years away from being at this level.
Right.
So, and... if the Blue Jays are like, well, who's going to play second base for us? And you'd be like, here's Stott. He's basically the same age as Bichette.
Okay, but what does that do to Turner? Where are you moving Turner?
Well, again, I still have Aiden Miller.
So you're bringing like this deadline I'm talking about. This deadline, you can't bring up Aiden Miller yet.
No. I'm saying I'm keeping Aiden Miller for the future.
I understand that. I'm talking about
There's
this
two
year.
guys that I am not trading because of the future.
Painter and Miller.
Crawford, I'm like 50-50 on. Like I've been waffling on him. I don't know how you feel, Earnshaw.
Because they have to get younger. I mean, it's so evident that they have to get younger. We are seeing the start of the downfall of guys in their 30s. Okay, you're seeing it. JT Realmuto might be cooked at the plate. Yeah. I mean, he's not the same as he once was.
Nope.
Behind the dish, he's been fine, which is great. But the bat is not that bat that you once had. He's just that's what happens to catchers. It happens. And he's a free agent at the end of the year. So what do you do with him? Schwarber's a free agent at the end of the year. What do you do with him? Ranger Suarez, could you move on from him at the deadline because he's a free agent at the end of the year? There's a lot of decisions and a lot riding on this year's trade deadline, and I think it needs to be talked about more and more. They either have to go for it this year or figure out a way to go for it this year but also plan for the future. I mean, it's a tightrope they're walking on right now.
Nuggets, are you running out of here?
I'm going to hang out for a couple more minutes.
All right, well, because on the other side, I want to ask you a question.
All right.
Okay, I got a question for Knicks Nuggets in the audience. 609-403-0973. Josh Hennig hanging out with you in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios of Atlantic City. More of the Power Hour coming up next.
This is the NBA Finals.
Shot up good with 0.3 of a second to go. Halliburton does it again. How does he do it?
The Pacers steal Game 1 in Oklahoma City. How will the Thunder respond?
We've been in the situation before. We handled it well. We were better for Game 2, and that's the goal.
Game 2 of the Pacers and Thunder. Coverage begins Sunday at 7 Eastern.
Listen to the NBA Finals, Game 2, exclusively on 97.3 ESPN.
Something good to know from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have all of today's innovative banking products just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't. A personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. It's fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Sea Isle City. A community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, from the people who truly care. Learn more at firstbankseaisle.com.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins.
Join the millions of people who are celebrating going hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins. Footwear you just step into and they're on.
It's crazy how something as simple as a pair of shoes have made my life better.
After trying Skechers Slip-ins, I want all my shoes to have this technology.
See what everybody can't stop talking about. Go hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
They say no two people learn the exact same way. So how did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app with over 16 million subscriptions sold? Well, we thought of you. All of you. Take Sierra. She's an artist and absolutely a visual learner. She's doing a deep dive into our Babbel wordplay videos.
Today I'll share a quick lesson on shopping in French.
Merci beaucoup. Malcolm is very much a type A, say it to my face, listening learner. So he checks with Babbel's speech recognition to make sure that accent?
Precio.
Keith's a real people person and a curious learner. So he loves Babbel's Culture Bites, full of insights and native knowledge about the language he's learning. Like, what's served for Christmas dinner in Germany?
Glühwein, Weihnachtsgans und Christmasstollen.
Wherever you are, however you learn, Babbel is the best choice to break any language barrier. Save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Another checkup? Why are so many people getting new puppies?
Dr. Kim's veterinary office is littered with cuteness.
We are booked solid for weeks, but who can say no to a puppy, right? Oh, good boy.
She needs to find extra vet techs to get those pups some extra love.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, candidates can find it easier, so you can hire easier. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Now at Verizon, we have some big news for your peace of mind. For all our customers, existing and new, we're locking in low prices for 3 years guaranteed on My Plan and My Home. That's future you peace of mind. And everyone can save on a brand new phone on My Plan when you trade in any phone from one of our top brands. That's new phone peace of mind. Because at Verizon, whether you're already a customer or you're just joining us, we got you. Visit Verizon today. Price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Progressive knows when you're in your RV, you're already on vacation. That's when you become Vacation You, who just camped where there's absolutely no shade. Even though regular you burns easily. In fact, Vacation You burns too, but is too stubborn to admit it, which is why regular you gets in trouble at the dermatologist, because Vacation You doesn't do doctors. So bundle your RV with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's back. The planet's biggest beach party, Beachstock 2025, hits Margate on Saturday, June 28th from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Free admission and no beach badges ever. Live music, food trucks, beach sports, and more. Plus, a chance to meet Miss New Jersey. Don't miss the Twilight Bonfire, Moana 2 at sunset, and the New Jersey British Invasion rocking the beach at night. Park and ride the free jitney all day. Get all the details at margatehasmore.com. Beachstock 2025. Thanks to our friends at the New Jersey Lottery. Play the Sure Thing scratch-offs today.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Josh Hennig back here in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios on 97.3 ESPN. I got to do an impromptu question for a man who just showed up in the studio randomly. I didn't expect him to. Nick Earnshaw joined me after spending 6 hours out there at the ShopRite LPGA?
Yeah, 6 is probably right, because I was there setting up with the interns, right? Yeah, 6 hours.
All right, well, right now the leaderboard, 2 people are tied at the top of the leaderboard, and it's 2 people that I don't think anyone, including myself, expected, because it's Elizabeth Zokel, and she's not even like a top 15 player at this point, but she had a -8
Jeez.
on that course. I mean, just absolutely insane.
It's just fascinating how good they are. It's just, I wish, Josh, I wish I was that good at golf. My goodness, I can't even shoot 100 on a practice course.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So she is tied for the lead. Now, I literally just had the lead, and my phone decided to.
My phone's dead, so it's all on you. You don't mess it up.
Well, the problem is that apparently every time I click somebody's name, it like deletes.
It takes it to
it
another
takes me
tab.
off of the exactly.
Yeah, right.
But it was Ilhei Lee. She very early on got to a blistering start. So it's her and Zokel who are tied for the lead. Local Joanna Ko, she finished with +1. She was scorching hot for a bit, but her and the rest of the pack, a lot of the women seem to have trouble in the middle of the course today.
Right.
It seemed to be from basically like the 4th hole to like the 14th hole. A bunch of the ladies were having some trouble. Nelly Korda struggled a ton. She's the number 1 golfer in the world. From hole basically like 6 to 12, she was like Nightmareville, but she got the even par herself. So very interesting weekend ahead. Again, tickets are still on sale for the ShopRite LPGA Classic this weekend. I know I'm going to be rolling through tomorrow. I know, Earnshaw, you had a great day over there today.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful course.
McGettigan's 19th hole, man.
Yep.
So much fun. There's so many tents, things to do. Like, even outside of just watching the golfers, like, there's just so much to do around there.
All right, so really quick. So I had NBA insider Brandon Scoopy Robinson.
I love Scoopy.
And he was talking about last night about the reality about Tyrese Halliburton. About how basically when the Kings, for those who don't know the whole story, when the Kings were trying to trade him, they were willing to trade him for almost anyone. It was like ridiculous. Like they didn't value him at all.
No.
One of the trades that the Kings were willing to do was Halliburton, and I forget the other player right off the top of my head, for Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris.
What are you doing to me? What are you doing to me?
How much of watching Tyrese Halliburton as a Sixers fan is just nightmarish what-if dream scenarios.
I loved Halliburton coming out of college. I thought he was a great three-point shooter coming out, too, and he's turned into a really good playmaker as well. To this level, clutch gene, I mean, it's been ridiculous. It hurts. It hurts because you knew that was all that was floated out there many, many times that the Sixers could have gotten Tyrese Halliburton many times. Now, I didn't hate the Harden deal. I still don't hate the Harden deal because I think Harden's a good player.
No, but the problem with the Harden deal is that you end up trading Ben when his value had already depreciated.
Right.
You didn't trade him.
They could have got a Halliburton. They could have got a nice Buddy Hield would have been part of that trade too.
I think it was either Hield or Malik. It was either Hield or Malik Monk was the other guy.
I'm pretty positive Buddy Hield would have been part
of that. I know it was
package.
A contract thing because it was about making the contract money
God,
work.
could you imagine Halliburton paired with Embiid instead of those Harden years and then the Paul George years?
Well, the other thing is
lose my mind, Josh.
Halliburton could have played with Maxey.
Absolutely could have played with Maxey.
You have seen numerous times, most of the best teams in the NBA now, they have dual ball handlers. They have two guys who can handle the ball, and then when it worked.
And people got to get out of the Curry, LeBron, KD era. It's a new era. It's a new era. People have to leave that era starting behind. But good players.
There's only one carryover. It's what I just said. It's that the best teams have multiple ball handlers.
Yes.
That's the one carryover.
Yes.
Because
what
made LeBron and Curry and Durant and some of the other guys so valuable is that when they were winning with teams that had 1, 2, 3 extra ball handlers.
But the big three is also dead. The big three idea is dead, okay? We have to get that out of our brains because the way the collective bargaining is now set up will not allow you really to have a big three like you had the LeBrons and the D-Wades of the past, right? So you have to build a team. You have to build a really good team with depth, guys that could shoot, that could play the wings, etc. That's how you build your team now. You can't just win it with superstars anymore. I'm sorry. You need to have good young players. You need to have a deep bench, and we're seeing it play out in the NBA Finals this year. It's pretty obvious. I'm sorry. Halliburton, you struck a nerve there.
It's well-constructed roster. That's the phrase
the Sixers have not done.
No, they haven't. And that's why I say while I agreed with George from Summer's point earlier where he said he kind of feels the Phillies roster is built like the Sixers, I said here's the difference, though. John Middleton wants to win a championship.
Yep.
Josh Harris wants to make money.
And he also wants to hang out down in Washington.
Well, there's that as too. But the point is that, the intent is different.
Yes.
It's
different.
All right, Nick Earnshaw.
No, that was fun.
Good to have you pop in here for a little bit.
It's cool in here. That's why. My main reason.
This Sunday, you will be with Billy Schwein down at the War at the Shore Power Boat Show, right?
It's going to be a lot of fun, and I know you'll be on tomorrow with the Schweiner.
I got Billy tomorrow, me, and I thought Clemmick's coming in. I'm going to ask Clemmick why he's coming in tomorrow.
That's a great question.
It's going to be a great show. He's Nick Earnshaw. I'm Josh Hennig. Have a great night, everybody.
Saturday morning in the locker room with Billy Schwein, Josh Hennig, and former Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Dave Clemick joined me in the studio. The Belmont is Saturday night, and the Fast Lane handicapper Jeffrey Nash will preview the race. Hour 2, Mr. Negadelphia PJ Cornett checks in with his spin on Philly sports, brought to you by the Vassar Pool Service. The Beach Patrol Report is next, brought to you by McCann Realtors and the OCBP Lifeguard Alumni Association. This week, John McShane will report from the OCBP tryouts. It's the locker room with Billy Schwein, Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN.